Every week, we are in a new location.
But if the content sucks, it sucks anyway. Great, we're done. Okay.
Welcome to week 1
of Approach the Bench. We are in beautiful Concord, Massachusetts for the nth time.
Yeah, we're not going to say how many times we've been here. Second day of shooting. That's all you need to know.
Second day of shooting. Hours on this spot across different days. The Old North Bridge is behind us. We are at the Minutemen National Historic Park.
Amen.
And we are ready to go.
This is the site of the Battle of Concord, which you've probably heard of from the Battle of Concord in Lexington, which is the very beginning of the American Revolution. Ralph Waldo Emerson's famous poem, The Shot, which includes the shot heard around the world, that's fired here at the site of the Battle of Concord. Although the actual technical beginning of the war, the first shots was at Battle of Lexington, but we thought it was less pretty than this spot.
This is very beautiful.
I mean, yeah, there was that couple who actually came when we were leaving the bench out here and was sitting on the bench.
On the bench. Just looking at the cameras like nothing was going on.
It was very weird.
Yeah. Well, the tripods were up and they didn't say anything about it.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you a bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing this episode, and also then we'll kind of jump into why we're doing this. But for this episode, we're going to touch on a number of things. We're going to talk why we're here. Yeah, a lot.
Got a full episode for you guys. It's going to be great.
Do have a full episode. We've had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the American Revolution. We're going to talk about the Battle of Concord. We're here on site, why we chose this spot. Then we're going to talk a little bit about being Christians at Harvard and whether or not you can be a Christian and go to Harvard Law School, which is where we're both at, as you'll soon find out.
So hopefully the answer is yes.
Hopefully, God help us, or else we're in a little bit of trouble. Then after that, we're going to talk about Christians smoking cigars.
Not weed.
Yeah, okay, that would have been bad. Smoking cigars and drinking whiskey, and that is a cultural thing. We're going to talk a little bit about using ChatGPT for dating, which I would never do.
And I might.
Yes, which I think is disgusting.
We'll get into that.
I think it's absolutely
deplorable
behavior. And it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times that we would be using AI for anything. But we will talk more about it. We might touch a little bit on emotional terrorism before we do, of course.
Girl problems.
Girl problems. At the very end of each episode, we'll talk a little bit about it. If you have any things, before we jump in the rest, if you have any comments, questions about the show, you can email us at approachthebench. Yeah, bench with 2 H's at the end at gmail.com. There's a description in whatever site you're happening to watch the video / listen to this on, or you can send in a voice memo and we may play it on the show.
Playing it live.
Yes, play it live.
No pre-screening.
Yeah, well, at least
maybe a little bit. Yeah, I won't get to see it.
He doesn't get to see it.
Just for the sake of, not having anything
I'm the prepared one, as you'll come to see. My life is in order. I kind of know I have a sense of direction and purpose, whereas he, the older, more mature one.
I'm a drifter.
He's a drifter.
Yeah. Drifter and a grifter.
Yes.
That's all I do.
Yes. It's interesting.
So that's a good segue into why we're doing this and maybe who we are. My name's Will, if you didn't know that already. William Luke Johnson. 2L at Harvard Law School, originally from Washington State. Went to Boston College, did some time in the Army.
Yes.
And now I'm here. And that's
now you are here.
Quick about me. I am the realist in this relationship, the one who brings us down to earth, grounds us into the reality.
He's like 30 years old, so of course he has to be the
Approaching
realist.
30, quicker than I'd like, but not quite there yet, don't worry. And as Mason likes to say, I'm about 300 pounds.
Yes, about 300 pounds, about 30.
Yeah.
About 6 feet.
Yeah.
I've got to do everything I can to knock you down a notch, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah. Who are you?
Who am I? It's a great question. Very deep, philosophical. There's so much in there that I'd want to unpack.
This is proving my point exactly, that he's the romantic. And I just gave you a description about my life.
Even when we were debating how close of a Zoom to have, we've done hours of preparation on this. I'm not even kidding you. Hours of prep. We shot for 10 hours on Sunday and got 0 minutes of footage because there's a certain vision that we have for this, for you. We care about you. And so if it's not entertaining after all of that effort, well,
we failed.
We failed.
As the intro says, if the content sucks, it sucks anyway.
It sucks anyway, which is the reason why we want your comments and feedback. But here's the thing.
Not too much, though.
My life is beautiful not just because it is perfect, it's because it is imperfect. I became a Christian because of the brokenness, because I saw my soul and I knew who I was in some way, form, or fashion. By knew who I was, I mean I glimpsed my brokenness. And even glimpsing that brought me to the foot of the cross. And so
Didn't know we were sharing our testimonies right now. Dang it. I should have come. I should have said that.
It's very important to one-up Will. Every single chance I get,
fair.
it's going to be like, well, this is what Jesus would have done. Yeah. He would have said this, and I agree with Jesus. But no, I went to Wheaton College for undergrad, grew up in Alabama, and this is the Wheaton College, by the way, in Illinois, Christian college.
Where's the other one?
People. There's one in Massachusetts, nearby here, actually. It's something everybody talks about. Right. It's very annoying. I keep getting these texts from people being like, I saw people wearing Wheaton shirts, and I'm like, that's the evil Wheaton.
Is that the all-womenens college?
No.
Oh, okay. What's that one called?
That was
Hillary Clinton's.
That's what, Amherst, I think, right? Wasn't that back in the day? I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'm completely wrong. We don't know.
Really doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, yeah, she lost.
She lost.
She lost. That's what happens to losers, as they say.
They get forgotten.
Very, very sad, actually.
Yeah.
There's more to be said about that for sure. But no, that's who I am.
Yeah, great.
And why are we doing this, Will?
Well, for us, it started with a vision on the beach that came from our friend Richie this summer. We were both...
By friend, can you explain how we came about Richie?
I was just gonna.
Sorry.
We were at a church event. We were both in DC this summer at a church event, a beach party. We were tossing the ball around, frolicking around with our shirts off, looking really good, like Top Gun. And Richie, we were just bantering. We had just met Richie, and he just said to us, you guys have good podcast energy. And Richie, I mean, I trust him with my life.
Amen.
He's got great hair.
We met him like 5 minutes before. 3 minutes before this.
Great facial hair. Works for the State Department. Couldn't ask for a better dude.
Dude is actually really awesome.
He's awesome.
He's a really solid guy. One of the
kind of guy to wear Hawaiian shirts and flip flops to work. I would say.
I mean, he's breaking the mold of civil service. In my head, my conservative mind of civil service, that is not my mold. So honestly, he's stereotype breaking for me. That was reality shaping.
And that's why we decided to do this.
Amen. God bless. And it was kind of a thing where we started talking on the way back, and we realized that God has put this on our hearts in some ways. We're not perfect. We're definitely not perfect.
That's true.
Actually, we're bringing our imperfections to the bench so that you can see what not to do.
Exactly. The whole point of Girl Problems is to tell you what not to do, because neither of us have had success in that area
Even
thus far.
As Harvard Law School students, which supposedly, that's supposed to help you in the dating market. But I think I'm just such a hopeless case. Or maybe I'm just too romantic for my own good.
Too romantic for your own good.
It literally, it doesn't.
It's like a poison that seeps in.
It can't make up for everything else.
Right. Well, it works against you.
Well, here's the problem. All the kind of girls that I want to fall for would be girls who wouldn't value it in the first place in the same way. Right? They'd look at me and they'd say, I don't care about this. And
then they're too intellectual and too heady.
Well, they're too devout in their faith, frankly. This is the problem. I want a girl to fall for me because
you want
to
date Andrew Klavan. Probably.
Which is a political commentator I follow who's like 70 years old. So no.
He's quite a romantic.
He's a romantic. He's the one who's inspired me the most in my philosophy.
I could tell. I could tell. I don't vibe with him too well, but
oh, come on.
You do.
Come on.
I'm just more, I like,
You talk to me about girls frequently, like things that are going through your head, dating, romance, love. You care about these things, Will.
I do care, but I don't know. I approach them differently than you for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're digressing a little bit.
Let's take this into why here? Why do we start here?
It's romantic, that's for sure.
It's romantic.
This would be a great date.
Yes, that's so
this bench.
It's a battle site. It's where men lost their lives.
Good point. Yeah.
It's kind of like I asked a girl on a first date to a cemetery recently.
I mean, I'm laughing at it because of how it sounds, but I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful cemetery. It's called Mount Auburn. It's in Cambridge.
It didn't work. She ghosted me. But here's the thing.
Well, it was on a dating app too, which we should talk about.
We will discuss this.
Yeah, sorry. Did I out you?
No, it's okay. I'm okay owning up to these things.
Amen.
I don't think it's a big deal. I used to be super anti-dating app.
Yeah, I've never been on
But now, I just have it like a burner, and if something comes of it, something comes of it, but I have very little hope.
Sure.
I want to meet a girl in person.
Yeah. That's the dream.
Yeah, no. But why
so
here?
We're here. We're here, and it ties, I guess, to why we're doing this. We want to talk about why we appreciate America, and this is part of it. The sacrifice that's come before us, the values that inspired these ordinary farmers, as the poem states, who rose up against tyranny and fought for what they believed in. And they were just ordinary men like us. We're not trying to be like them. We could never achieve that kind of excellence. But being here, I think, is important. Remembering what's come before you and the sacrifices made is important, not just for the nostalgic sake, but then to motivate you to move forward and be better and like carry on that legacy in whatever way you can. And it's kind of the same for the Christian walk too, which we might talk about with the Harvard Christian thing. But it's not about, being the way that the past was or trying to bring us back to that. It's about moving forward and just kind of doing your part.
And realizing that we're heirs to this. The reality is, it's weird to do a podcast episode where we're also trying to be entertaining and fun and lighthearted on the site where men gave their lives for us. It was the only reason that I was conflicted about doing it in the first place.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was kind of like, can we do that and also give them due respect? And I think this is what I'll say. They laid down their lives so that we could express ourselves, so we could live our lives. And there's no better place to really hit that home than to be in the place where it happened. In the sense of, like, a good example of this, Captain Isaac Davis, who he's going to get upset with me for bringing up.
No, I just have heard this story about 30 times at this point because of the 30 takes that we've done.
Yes, and I love retelling it. Every time it moves me because he is an amazing man, and an amazing man because Captain Davis, in the morning of April 19th, 1775, when the Battle of Concord is kicking off, the British regulars are moving into Concord, and as this is happening, all of the Minutemen are assembling at different houses where their companies are supposed to organize. Captain Davis was in charge of one of those companies, and so all the men are gathering outside his place. Their orders are to assemble here on this very hilltop right nearby where we are. And he brings out all his men here. But just before he's going to leave, he stops his men and he goes over to the front door of his house and he kisses his wife goodbye and he says, take good care of the children. Because he has a feeling that he's about to lay down his life. And he goes and he assembles, and his men were supposed to be on the left flank. They were supposed to not actually march directly at the Redcoats. But the group that was supposed to do it, the company that was supposed to lead the charge, they said, we don't want to be the ones to do it.
Yeah.
And so Captain Davis said, hey, I haven't got a man amongst my company that's afraid to go. And so they marched first. He was at the very front of the line with his fifer, which I think is how you say it, Abner Hosmer, and they're marching directly from here down to the Old North Bridge into enemy fire. First off, a warning shot goes over their heads to try to get them to stop marching. They keep going. Second volley goes direct at them, shot directly through the heart of Captain Davis. Brings his life to an end on the morning of the first day of the American Revolution. He never got to see what came from it. He never got to see that his life, his sacrifice, his widowed wife, his orphaned children, in the sense of fatherless children, I should say, by orphaned, for fatherless children, he never gets to see what happens to them, whether or not his sacrifice was worth it, and it was. And we get to be here in this place and remind people and remind our generation above all else that that's what happened. Yeah. I realize it was a long story, but it's a beautiful one. Yeah. And it's the beauty of the American Revolution.
Yeah, sure is. Cool.
It is.
Christians?
We can add on. We can go into Christians now. Sure.
Great.
You have thoughts on Christianity at Harvard Law? Is that a thing for you? Do you do Christianity at Harvard Law, or do you not?
I do. And I mean, I think the principle that you can be a Christian in whatever circle you're in stands true. Some are harder than others. It's harder to live out your calling faithfully, I would say. Not impossibly. I mean, we know excellent professors who are probably like people who we would look up to in the way that they walk with Jesus, and yet they are, professors at Harvard Law School.
Totally, but law school is like money and power, right? It's all of those things that we're supposed to be eschewing as Christians.
For sure, but you don't have to make that your driving force. I mean, the type of law that we go practice can reflect the gospel, can reflect the truth about the world and the work that God has created for us to do, right? I mean, same thing like, I don't want to go too niche into like what I'm interested in, but one of the fields that I'm interested in is nuclear energy, and I think the potential to increase human flourishing, to have sustainable, clean energy is excellent, and that's why I'm interested in that, and that's part of my drive for being here. The problem that I've seen with Christians at Harvard, and I am captive to this as well in some ways and at some points, is really getting sucked into like the identity of achievement and comparing yourself to others.
Totally.
I think that's a really hard thing to avoid, and I've seen Christian men and women who I've walked alongside kind of get pulled into that.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, and me too. I have struggled with that too. Like, you look around at all these high achieving people and you start to compare yourself, and you start to make, I think comparison is actually okay, but once you start to kind of make that your identity rather than have your identity rooted in who you are in Christ, that's where it becomes a problem. And I think that's the most challenging thing.
I guess that's the biggest question, is if it's possible to do that. The thing is, I don't
It has to
think
be
it's
possible.
Oh yeah, I mean, possible maybe, or maybe it's just a question of trying to live as Christ would have us live. We're going to fail in different professions for sure, different vocational callings. What I'm just thinking of is how at HLS, which is short for Harvard Law School, which is what we call it, it sometimes feels like we wear our ideas and our accomplishments kind of like fashion in some way, form, or fashion, right? Where it's like I walk around and I wear like I'm of a certain stance in the conservative circles, and like people know that this is my identity. These are my political views. I'm willing to stand up and fight for them, which is great and wonderful. Then you have other people who care a lot about becoming judges, so they don't want to do anything too controversial, right? And so I don't know. I think that we are very, very superficially minded. This is the reason why I stress this question, is because I think that we're focused on who we appear to be over who we actually are as lawyers so much. I think this is a general thing in the age of social media.
I was just going to say, that's not a problem unique to lawyers. I mean, that's a problem amongst Christians in ministry too.
Everything. It's so the social media. It's the reason why we spend so much time talking about how to get the framing right on a thing. We want to make sure it looks good.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah, I would say that a lot of that like drive to make, wear your ideas on your sleeve, like you said, that is a problem. I think the only identity that should be like clearly on your sleeve is that of Christ.
Amen.
And so whatever field you go into afterwards, after law school, after business school, after graduating high school, like your identity needs to be rooted in Christ. And that's always something that is tough for professionals in our day and age.
And here's the thing, this is where I'll bring back in the Captain Davis example. I think that the appearances at the end of the day are tried by suffering, by real challenges to your beliefs,
which you haven't had any of.
And in some ways, I've had minimal. I've had minimal compared to others. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't get me wrong. Like I think I've had trials for sure, but like my trials are. Do your friends think this thing about you? Do they say that thing about you behind your back?
Yeah.
But you still win out in some way, form, or fashion in the end. I've never really felt the bottom fall out in my life, I don't think, in the same way, which is the reason why I think I've been blessed by God in that sense. But Captain Davis, he's putting his life on the line for what he believes in. That's a man who stands, who he is. This is the reason why the Redcoats, when they described those men as they marched, they said, we shouldn't, and no man should mistake themselves to believe that this is an irregular mob. They have men amongst them who know very much what they are about, which is what we are called to be. And I think this is the reason why we trip at Harvard.
Arguably, I mean, while we admire their sacrifice a lot, even if those men made what they're about, the revolution, I would say they're still missing the point. The thing that you should be about is about Christ. And I want the line that the Redcoats say about the colonists, that quote that you just gave, that's what I want people to say about me. Like Will knows what he's about. He's about Christ. He's all in on Jesus. That's what I want.
But this is where I'm going to say, I'm going to bring in the Harvard law point again.
Okay.
I think I become even more, oh my goodness, he literally just wiped off the portion of his arm that I touched with my hand.
Yeah, gross.
That's crazy.
Male affection.
Yeah, we don't do that. The biggest thing that comes to my mind when I'm thinking about that, though, is that even then, there's a side of me that starts thinking, well, yeah, because I really want people to know how good I am.
As a Christian.
Right? It's like Screw Tape Letters. C.S. Lewis's book, Screw Tape Letters, where it's basically like a demon writing to another, like a senior demon writing to a junior demon and giving him advice on how to tempt men. And it's like, hey, even if he starts doing good things as a Christian, make him start caring about how others see him. Is he a good Christian?
Yeah.
And start thinking to yourself, man, everybody thinks I'm such a good person, knows I'm such a good person.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm saying the Harvard Law Christianity is hard to come by, because I think our profession, specifically lawyers, I think social media age, all those other things, you can make that argument, but Harvard Law, at a place where there's so much riches, so much potential, and so much focus on what you're going to do, some big change in life, there's more pressure on you to flaunt these good things about yourself.
Yeah.
And this is where I feel as a Christian, I'm supposed to have integrity. I'm supposed to live not to be seen for what I'm doing. I'm supposed to live because it is what Christ called of me.
Right.
And I'm worried. I've got my Harvard Law sweatshirt on right now.
Which I told him not to wear.
But it's a good sweatshirt and it looks good. And also we need to try to bring people in to listen to the podcast. So maybe I'm a hypocrite for saying this. But like, again, this is the internal conflict. This is the tension.
It's a huge conflict. I mean, it's something that you're going to struggle with your whole life, I think. It's not an easy thing to walk and make Christ your sole identity. It's just something you need to be checking your spirit on constantly and have others checking you on.
Yeah.
This is the importance of like Christian community at Harvard is so valuable, and I think it needs to be it needs to be more honest than it is, because we need people to be like checking us, like, no, dude, I think you're straying here.
Amen.
I'm straying here. Like I want people to tell me that.
And there's a good Christian community growing that I really think I see good potential at Harvard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a crazy thing
Super
to say.
fired
Most
up
people
about
would be
this year.
very surprised about it.
Yeah.
But I see fire in people's eyes. I see a receptiveness. I originally was pessimistic, which is funny, but I like
out of character.
I like being a contrarian.
Oh,
so
right.
like when people are too optimistic, you know.
Right.
You know.
The other thing I just add, and then we could maybe move on, is something I think about a lot is the willingness to give it all up. Like, I think if we are really walking with Christ, we need to be willing to like give all of this up as much as we're convinced that this is part of our calling. If that sense shifts, or if God gives you a sense or speaks through others that like, actually, I want you to go work in a soup kitchen for a year.
Amen.
And quit your big law job and just like learn what I have to teach you in that moment.
Do you think you could do that?
I
don't think
hope
I could.
so.
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I'm being way too vulnerable here, but I'm saying like, I worry that if God really put that on my heart. I remember walking to school this morning. I was passing some guys who were jumping out of a trash.
A what?
What is it? What are the trash vehicles called again? Garbage trucks.
Garbage bin.
Sorry.
Yeah, wow, that is so elitist of you to not know what they're called.
Well, I just forgot. I'm sorry, but
right.
like they were jumping out and they were like doing physical labor, very impressive, like big strong guys throwing all this other stuff out. And I just thought to myself, you know, how much I have attached my identity to being like prestigious, educated, enlightened, not doing all of this other stuff, and that is not right. And I say this wholeheartedly, knowing that I still have that piece of hell in my heart. Great Divorce, C.S. Lewis, yet again, piece of hell within my heart.
I love that book,
that is so hard to let go of. And I think this is part of the thing that we're called to as Christians. And the reason when I first got my LSAT score back when I was an undergrad, I was a senior at Wheaton. I know.
Subtle brag.
What? Oh, okay. It's not meant to be a subtle brag. It's meant to say that like I went to the Billy Graham Hall and I looked up and I said to God, please help me to be in a position where if I go to a nice school or something else because of this, that I'm able to, with a snap of the fingers, give it back to you.
Yeah. Well, remember in my first intro, maybe take one, over,
like
72 hours ago at least. I warned people about coming straight through from undergrad. I think this is part of the warning. And it's not anything against you. It's just kind of a fact that this is all you've known.
It's true.
Like you came from Wheaton to Harvard Law, and like I think maybe coming from a place where I had 4 years off between undergrad and like, just had different experiences in life, work with different people. Maybe it's a little easier for me to detach myself from that identity. And I think people like to call it here like imposter syndrome, like you don't belong here. I feel that a little bit, and I like that. Like I don't see myself as like a big law lawyer or like a game changer in the world. I think that I have the potential to get there, but that's not like who I see myself being. Yeah. So I do think, and this isn't like super arrogant, I hope, but I've always kind of felt like if God like gives me kids with disabilities, as much as horrible as that sounds, like I'd be willing to give up my career for that.
No,
or like if he calls me to go be a missionary in Africa, like I'll go do it.
I fully believe. I fully believe you would. I know you personally. I trust you with that, and I respect it in you. And this is the reason why I think there's a groundedness in you that I am seeking, and I maybe am alluding through romance. And what I mean by romance is about the world.
Oh, okay.
I know. I mean romance about the world.
Those
generally.
allegations are out there.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to try to beat them, but doing a podcast together on a bench every week is definitely not gonna help our case.
No. We need a girlfriend quick.
True.
Just kidding.
The next topic is using ChatGPT for dating.
Are we talking about emotional terrorism?
I think that's after this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do that. So emotional terrorism, which you guys will find out a little bit more in the future.
Great.
Which maybe you do by using AI to help you woo women, which sounds crazy to me, by the way. I think if you're gonna use AI for dating, like dating app stuff sounds so stupid to me. But first off, it's not good at it in my view. And second off, like if you're trying to text a girl and you're like typing your text into ChatGPT, what have we become as a society? That's my
I don't really have any good arguments against that, except the confession that I've done it. And sometimes I look back at previous relationships that have failed miserably. Sometimes I'm like, man, what if I had like sent some of these texts into GPT and just asked it like almost as a counsel, like, hey, I'm thinking of sending this to a girl. Is this a bad idea? And I wonder if I had just had a little bit of like good counsel, spirit checking from GPT in those moments.
GPT would not have helped you.
You think it would have been like, no, you're GPT, so right?
GPT is designed to be affirming. So it would literally be like, you're literally like a fragment
what if
of
I
the divine.
Said, give
you're
me
the
advice.
most chosen person on the planet. This is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever written.
But what if I said to it, be counter-affirming to me, like, act as a pastor. This is so bad.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this is my point.
Slippery slope.
Why are we? Look, okay, don't get me wrong. It might actually give good advice is the problem. Okay, and
better
that's actually
advice
part
than
of
a pastor.
Well, yeah, sometimes that's part of the issue.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there's something beautiful about the imperfections of humanity. I think you're teaching yourself to create a front with another person, which is not who you are. Yeah. You're not gonna have GPT around all the time.
This is social media too. This is dating apps. I mean, this
I know,
is why I'm not on them.
But if you're there's a balance here between presenting your better half of yourself so that people can kind of want to date you, and also being real. Being real. This is the problem I think that is dividing a lot of people in the dating market, is that the reality is we're all screwed up. Okay? I keep talking to my brother about this, and like we would walk around New York.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
just really quick, go into the New York story after this. I think that part of the problem with social media is that people don't expect you to be screwed up anymore. And I think that like girls and guys, girls in our case, maybe they have less sympathy when you send a text that you shouldn't send because they expect you to be perfect. And this might have been caused by the, like, it's easier to commit a mistake in a conversation like this and be like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have said that was stupid, or like get called out on it instantly. But when you send a text or when you present yourself a certain way on social media, it's like it's under a heightened level of scrutiny, it feels like.
Because there's no way you're not in a human relationship with the other
it's
person.
Like, oh, I can't believe you just said that, and you start thinking about like what, and maybe I just made a dumb mistake and was like, shouldn't have said that. And so there's like a heightened level of like, this has to be perfect before I send it because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way.
And it has to be perfectly fine-tuned. And also, here's the other thing. There might just be a lot of bad apples out there, and you making that one mistake may signal to the other person who may not know you the best if you're in the beginning of a relationship with a person or trying to like flirt back and forth. Or if you're in the situation where like, I don't know, just generally speaking, even in relationships, sometimes this happens. You text them and they're kind of like, this reminds me of like these other people who I don't like.
Yeah. And
how they behave.
Yeah, man.
And maybe there's just a lot of bad apples.
So good thing GPT has read all of our texts and all of our Gmails to know, like, this is not how you should send it, buddy.
No.
She's going to think you're crazy.
The substance of a human relationship is built on sacrifice. That's what love is. Love is being willing to give up for the other person.
Yeah.
The problem is, and this is what I was talking to my brother about.
This is going
to be, yes, this is going to
be New York City?
Yeah, in New York. When we're walking around, this is going to be a very controversial take.
In New York City.
Well, this is going to be a very controversial take, but it's only controversial to people who still believe in like hookup culture. And the reality is, I think that the stuff with hookup culture, obviously us as Christians hate it. The idea of just going on one-night stands with people, living your life, having fun until you're in your 30s, and then suddenly you're like, let's settle down. And we'd look around and we'd see these guys and these girls, and we'd be like, they'd be so much better off if they just found a relationship, right? And they found somebody who would love them and they were a committed relationship. And I turned to my brother and I was like, but you know what's kind of funny? I would never date them.
Date who?
These people. Like even if I could give them an alternative, I would never go to marry. And who would want to? Because they're not dateable. Like, and it's not saying anything about myself personally in terms of dateability. It's just saying that like that culture shapes you into a person. It shapes you into a widget that doesn't fit into the whole we're talking about.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. This is the problem with so many cultural changes in our world, and their devastating impact on people. And our culture requires us to, like, because we believe in individuality so much, to send young people through this like harrowing experience of youth, learning all the things that they like and don't like, the things that are right and wrong, only to discover that traditional values were right from the very beginning. But after that, they're so twisted up inside, it's really difficult for them to build a marriage, to build a family, to do all these other things.
See, we've disagreed on this, I think, in the past, but I would totally date a person like that. Like, I'm way more willing to date people with a lot of baggage than I think you are. And maybe that's because I have my own baggage. But, you know, I think as long as they're living rightly when you meet them, I don't really care about their past at all. Now, they might have different temptations, and I might have different temptations as someone who's flawed and has made mistakes, like, than you would, or whatever. Put the, like, perfect Christian guy in there. But I don't really care about the past. Like, you know, if you're like living, if they're, you know, Christians obviously and like committed to Christ, in that moment when I meet them, the past doesn't matter.
Here's what I'll say. I agree with you on this, but I'm saying though that for many, the past still does have an impact on who you are to this day.
Yeah.
And this is why when you mention like going to counseling and stuff like this, and I know a lot of people are going to react and be like, so bad, because they're thinking of that like 30-something.
I hate counseling too.
Well, they're thinking of like some 30-something-year-old like lib woman who's sitting down with you and is like telling you all these secular lies and affirming you in all your problems.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about true Christian pastoral counseling in that sense, if it exists.
Great.
If it exists hypothetically.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of problems that are generational, that are personalized.
Wow, you sound really woke right now, dude. Generational trauma? Are we really going there right now?
Generational sin is a thing, not even trauma. I'm talking about generational sin as like a Christian matter. There are things that you will have grown up around that may influence you to fall back into those same stumbling blocks. I firmly believe in that. But my point with this is to say that like there may be a way of getting over these things. I believe in Christian grace and forgiveness. I think your baggage, 100%, you can be wiped clean and made new. I've seen people.
But you don't want to date them.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to date them. I'm saying that it's a rare occurrence and it's hard to come by people who are changed after those things. Yeah. I have been changed from my sin, but I still stumble and fall back into old sins.
Yeah.
And I still find myself becoming like my old self.
Yeah.
And this is part of the relationship, is being willing to walk along somebody who might still be imperfect in some of those ways, and because of their past maybe, or because of maybe who they are.
Maybe. Would you use GPT for theological questions? Because this is funny enough where I draw the line. Like,
what?
Yeah, I know. I'm way more willing to throw a text into GPT and ask for its advice than I am to be like, tell me the doctrine, like talk to me about soteriology of Jesus in Romans.
Wow.
Yeah, I would not do that.
So you're holding it out as a source for defining your perhaps closest physical relationship in life beyond that. Like, with any single person.
I rarely do it. I'm just saying in the hypo, like when I go look at the past, I'm like, I wish I had GPT back then sometimes.
I think you should definitely source check what you're saying. This is why I'm going to disagree with you. I think you should source check what ChatGPT is saying about theology. But with the dating advice stuff, who are you going to double check that with? And if you're doing this in the moment, you've got to run it like you're dating stuff by me. And this is the reason why he's texting and he's asking me questions or whatever. And I'm like,
and I do that.
Yeah, you do, which is why I'm saying I would prefer this over, and I'm not saying I give better advice than GPT, frankly, at sometimes, but I am saying that at least I'm a human. And I would rather have a human be vetting this because it's about who you are, the kind of relationships you're in, the kind of person you're becoming. And if you're building your person on GPT, I just think that there's something sterile about that, something not
there
right.
Is, yeah.
I can't put into words.
Well, I think if you're truly going to live completely consistently with that idea, then you need to give up dating apps.
I'm okay with that. They don't affect my life at all anyway.
I basically don't use it. The sterility argument kind of falls apart if you start looking at dating apps.
Any first date I went on...
But I guess you're still going to try to build that human interaction.
No, I'll say this. I think any first date through dating apps, it's just like, within the first 5 seconds whether or not it's going to work with a person.
Sure.
And this is the reason why, like, human interaction, getting set up with people, like meeting someone in church.
You don't like getting set up?
I would rather do that, 100%.
Than match through an algorithm.
Yes, because it's like this AI overload. It's like this. It feels like this part of your life is being gamified. It's being turned into the algorithm. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like using GPT for dating. We're supposed to be humans. We're supposed to live, love, feel.
Yeah.
I realize that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I have hope in it. Well, so I also have to wonder then how this all applies to the next topic we're going to be discussing, which is whether or not we should be drinking whiskey and smoking cigars as Christians. And the reason I say this is because it's a big thing now within, especially one of our Catholic friends. She brought this up. She was talking about how she feels like a lot of her Catholic brothers, especially among the conservative crowd, are all smoking, they're drinking. It's very much the aesthetic right now. It's a cool guy thing. It was like cigarettes are back in style too.
Yeah, not even smoking just cigars, smoking cigarettes too.
Doing cigarettes, it's a lot. And we have had whiskey and cigar nights. That was one of our classic things we did back in the day. So the question is,
just last year.
Well, he taught me how to do it again because I have like forgotten how to smoke cigars.
Cigar virgin.
I like the aesthetic as well.
Right.
It's a weird way of saying it, but you did teach me a lot about it.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, stop. That sounds bad. It sounds bad. He has his mind in the gutter. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that she's talking about, though. I think that for her, there's a certain, and not to put too many words in her mouth, she's wonderful. I think she's just saying that Christians are called to like maybe a level of puritanism about how they approach.
She used the word something asceticism.
It's ascetic. It's ascetic. Ascetic discipline. She thinks that these are unhelpful practices and we shouldn't engage in them. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think they're great. Yep. No,
the man who has a zin in his mouth actively.
Excuse me. You should not out me like that,
yes.
sir. It is wearing off. I should have reloaded on that cut. Anyway, no, I mean, it's hard to talk about this again because we talked about it at length for, 3 hours on Sunday. But my thought process with any sort of, product like this, whether it's alcohol or tobacco, is looking at looking at your heart and the usage behind it. And I think God gave us wine, and I know she brought up the example of the wine being much diluted back then, and it probably was, but it's still talked about a frequent amount in the Bible, that God gave us wine to bring joy to the hearts of man. I think that's Psalm 10 something.
But are we getting a little bit too much joy sometimes?
Well, certainly. I mean, there's a prohibition on being drunk on wine, and I think that kind of is where, rather than using it as like a tool that can be bringing people together, and maybe even like, this sounds so, I actually was talking about this with my counselor, outing myself there too. Like sometimes if I've had a rough day, I like to go outside on my porch, looking at the sunset, playing worship music, and I smoke half a cigar. And it's like, it's kind of weird to think about like praying and worshiping God while I'm smoking a cigar, but I don't think that there's a problem in that. I think that, the usage and why I have a problem with like weed and other drugs that really like alter your mind. I don't think that nicotine, caffeine, alcohol alters your mind.
Well, they are in some ways, for sure.
But not in an out-of-body state, like bringing you out of your mind. I mean, nicotine and caffeine enhance your mind.
Stimulants, depression.
I'm borderline talking about idolatry. Okay. And when things become an idol, that's a problem. And so again, kind of as we were talking about, like willing to give it all up for Christ. Like God calls us to give up good things for seasons in order to bring us closer to Him. And I think that if you can't do that with alcohol, if it's a crutch, if it's helping you to like escape rather than connect, then that's a problem. And if you can't give it up for a season, then that's also a problem. That means it's an idol in your life, just like anything good.
I think, so here's the thing. I went to an undergrad that I was not allowed to be, signed a covenant that basically said we were not going
I've heard of these.
I know, yeah, it's very intense. We were not going to drink.
Yeah.
We were not going to smoke tobacco. We were not going to have sex before marriage. All of these things, right?
Whoa.
But the reason I bring this stuff up is because I grew up with that. I mean, grew up. I mean, from 18 to 22 in that critical period of time, I was scared of those things, essentially. Like when I'd interact with people who use them or be around them or build community upon them, I got worried. And it's in part because as young people, especially, like it just becomes so easy for all of your community and social life to be, let's have an excuse to go drink alcohol. Let's have an excuse to go do like smoke cigarettes together. And like that is clearly, this is the idolatry thing you're talking about. And I saw it so frequently that it really got to me. And I came into Harvard where you have a bunch of lawyers who, by the way, have the highest alcoholism rates out of any profession and the highest like divorce rates, all these other things. There's a lot of things that we are very effective at destroying because we fall into idolizing our work, and then it becomes really easy to just go after these other things like nicotine and alcohol. To help us kind of get out of it. And I was like the social chair for this big org on campus, the Federalist Society, which is the conservative, legal. Like a conservative legal and conservative political students organization. And then like, that was an entirely different world where I'm sticking around until midnight, making sure everybody's together and not too drunk. And it completely changed my mindset on all that stuff. Because one, I got to see that a lot of that stuff is terrible. But I also got to see people who had healthful relationships, I think, with these things. And that it was just like a question of you have a drink in your hand and it's not a big deal.
Sure.
I think I was scared of it when I was younger. And I don't think we should be scared of it. I don't think we should become reliant on it either.
Right. Yeah, no, I think two thoughts came up as you were talking on that. One, or maybe it was my first semester here, when, there's such a, like you're going to social outings every night. I mean, it felt like every night you're either at a firm recruiting event or you're at like some social function for a club or a journal. We have these things, journals, like various topics. Academia submit their articles to us and we publish them. So you're going to all these social events, and I was like, man, I am using alcohol as like almost a crutch to social interactions. And I did give it up. Like I would go to those social events and have like a soda water with some bitters.
You should notice that.
Yeah. You what?
I'm saying you should notice those things. It's good you're noticing them in you, because I think this is what she's getting worried about. I think that we're excusing people's addictions for It's fun and social and nice and great. But here's the thing. I also don't want to be the prude at the same time. I've tried my hardest. I still am the prude, as you know. But I'm trying my hardest to kind of adopt that Denzel Washington, Remember the Titans, let the boys play. That kind of vibe.
Okay, so you did confirm that's where the quote's from?
It was, yes.
Okay, great.
Like, let the boys play. Let them play.
Yeah.
I want to be like that more a little bit. Even though it's not really part of who I am, I'm exercising. I'm trying to practice into that, lean into that space a little bit more. And the reason is because I do think that the prudishness sometimes comes from a place of wanting to elevate ourselves above others. Like you want to be like, I don't have a problem with that. I would never struggle with those things. Right? I would never stoop down. And I definitely, a lot of my original fear was based in the desire to be better.
Yeah. You know what I just got when you said that? I got a little agoraphobic Mason. For those of you,
agoraphobic Mason?
For those of you who watched the pilot episodes, Mason talked about coming out as an agoraphobic in a play that he did, and I just saw a little bit of theater kid Mason right there.
Agoraphobic it basically means being afraid to leave the house. I played an agoraphobic character who was
doing this.
Yes,
he was overacting too much.
I was not overacting. That's called being me.
Right.
Being me is
and you overact a lot.
Yes, amen, I do. I own it. I love it. But here's the thing. It became part of me.
Yeah.
It became part of me, that character.
Sure. Right. Anyway, sidetrack. That's just, I saw that for a second. I wanted to shout that out.
Is that a good thing? I think it's a bad thing. Probably. You're seeing agoraphobia in me.
I'm just seeing a little bit of thespian Mason coming out right there.
Amen. You're going to see a lot of thespian Mason, hopefully, over these coming days.
Not thespian. Thespian.
Thespian. Yeah. Yes, thespian.
Right. Yeah. No, you said it right. Just want to, make sure.
We make sure we get things right. We're lawyers.
The last thing I'll say on this, and I didn't touch on this in my opening about the cigars and whiskey, is the kind of 1 Corinthians, conscious issue where there were Christians who were comfortable with eating meat that had been sacrificed to idols, and there were those who were not. And I think we see a similar issue around these substances in the church. I think something that Christians need to be very aware of and very sympathetic to is that some people, whether they've struggled with it in the past, whether they've seen people struggle with it, or whether they just are firmly convicted that God does not call us to consume alcohol. I think we need to be able to give it up in those moments when we're around people like that. And that includes nicotine.
We need more board game nights, bro.
Does that include coffee? That's a tough sell, but it might.
Maybe.
If someone's deeply convinced that drinking caffeine is sin,
I think we're called to build community, and building community requires buying in. Yeah, it's buying in. It means doing things sometimes you don't want to do.
Personal sacrifice.
Yeah, it means sometimes doing things you don't want to do.
Yeah. We've probably said enough on this topic.
Okay, we definitely have said way too much. You want to talk about emotional terrorism?
Yeah,
we can do it briefly. And do girl problems.
Yeah, we got to get to girl problems. It's so juicy.
Not like we haven't been talking about girl stuff already.
Right. Emotional terrorism. So you want to give the context of the tweet that you found?
Yeah, so I came across a tweet that I thought was really interesting. We'll put it up on between us or something like this so you can see the image.
Look at that.
But basically, just to describe the image for those who are listening over podcast, basically it's this kind of these two women, and one woman is basically saying, they're over coffee, whatever. One woman's like, I'm happy we can be friends and still disagree. And then the other woman is saying, about pizza toppings, B word, not human rights.
What's the B word?
Okay. Yeah,
he really doesn't like to say it.
My prudishness coming out. No,
we'd have
then
to
I'm going to bleep it. I'm going to have to bleep it. My prudishness coming out.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah, I'm not inclined to use that sort of language, and I'm also not inclined to do this kind of stuff with our lives. I think it's uniquely unchristian to do that kind of stuff. The emotional terrorism.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant this podcast.
No, I'm not talking about podcasts.
I hope not.
I mean, to turn to somebody and to say that you can only be friends with them if you agree on these such core issues, whatever, like this. I'm not saying that friendships do have to be founded on some common views. There was a point at which the other person, if any chance they could, they try to kill you. It's really hard to be friends with that person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what people are doing, and emotional terrorism, what it is doing, is taking things that should never be within that realm of, hey, we can never be close to each other, and putting them there in order to force other people to bend the knee to you. Mm-hmm. And you see this, and this is an example that's often cited on the left because it's so common with wokeism and that culture. But honestly, we're moving to another age where you're going to see it in the right too. You're going to see it in just general life. I've seen it with my friends, with my family, with people where it's if you do not agree with me on this, I can't live with you. I can't talk to you because, it's just too much. It's too much of a burden to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you see the right doing that at all when it comes to some single issue
Totally.
stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, I see it with everything.
Yeah.
Like there's so much, especially at Harvard. Harvard's culture is like, again, the fashion, wearing your ideas is fashion. It's like, do you agree with this policy? Well, then you can come to this club, or you can't go to this club.
Right.
And it's like, dude, Captain Isaac Davis wasn't asking questions about whether or not everybody in his line was 100% on taxation policy with him.
Yeah.
He was like, we're fighting for freedom and for justice, and we may have some small differences here, but we're doing actual real stuff here.
Sure.
And we can't be honestly weak about it. This is a weak mindset, I think, where you expect everyone around you to agree with you. And we need to stand up to this kind of stuff. And I see it more commonly in the social media age. I realize I'm talking a lot.
No, I agree with everything you said, pretty much. I think, it's very challenging to be in this political moment because there's a lot less room for disagreement on some of the just fundamental things that we need to try to convince people of our opinions on its merits rather than like canceling them outright if they don't agree. I think these are all kind of trite things that are thrown around, but there's truth behind them. I mean, I know that I've been guilty of, maybe I wouldn't say emotional terrorism because, and I do think it's much more prevalent on the left to say something like, we can't be friends if you blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I would never really say that. Like, I have friends who I think are crazy on some of their political issues, but I still like, and again, maybe this comes to like your Christian identity. I still want to be in their life because I care about them. And because I love them for who they are and like for the potential that I see in them. And I want to try to like be a contrary voice amidst their kind of maybe bubble life that can speak, that can just like challenge these ideas a little bit. And I just hope that they keep me around long enough to allow me to do that. And I don't feel like I've been canceled yet, pending the release of this episode.
We'll see what happens.
But I don't want to be canceled. Like, I hope to still have that ability to speak in because people, and you have to kind of earn the right to be heard. And like, because people know who I am, beyond my politically held beliefs, I hope to be able to kind of earn the right to be their friend and not be canceled. But I would never cancel someone like that.
This is a great point you're bringing up where you're saying, I think it's part of being a Christian that we're actually called to not be such Puritans about our relationships, that we're not able to speak to people's lives to where they are in certain positions because we can't live alongside them.
Yeah.
Because we look at them and we say, how could you ever, and hold up our nose on them.
Yeah.
Well, at their opinions or their views. Don't get me wrong, I do think that there is a calling on us definitely to exert pressure on people to have the right views, whether that be through like sometimes directly challenging our friends or
through
other
podcasts.
times. Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. But I do think that we're called to be strategic about it for sure.
Right.
Like we're not just like supposed to just be dumb about it and just be like direct.
There's
or
an
not
art
ever
in
say anything.
persuasion.
But like Jesus is dining with prostitutes and tax collectors. Clearly,
Zinners.
Sinners.
Zinners.
Yes, people who do zin.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to refer to.
Yeah.
Who like obviously they wouldn't want to dine with him if he was just like thumbing his nose at them the entire time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they definitely knew he didn't agree with a lot of the things that they did in their lives.
Yeah.
There's a balance here is what I'm trying to say. We can't do it perfectly. Maybe we're called to different things and in whether maybe there's Christians on the left, Christians on the right, Christians in the middle, Christians in all these different positions. And maybe we may disagree with where you are, and I would encourage you to have some other theological position, whatever, but God has a plan, I'm a strong believer in this, to reach people's lives, even if the gospel is sometimes espoused imperfectly.
Yeah. I think emotional terrorism obviously has become a much bigger issue in the wave of like online communities.
Many people are living online, not real.
It's so hard, even if you're a conservative. And I'm not really on social media. The only exposure I would say I have to this like idea of emotional terrorism online is through Reddit, and we talked a little bit about this in the pilots as well. And that's purely on the left, like deeply left.
Reddit is a very left-wing website.
Extremely. And I think it's so easy to, you come across someone who is challenging your beliefs and you're uncomfortable, or you've been told that they are, that this is hate speech or whatever, fill in the blank. And then you retreat to your safety, to your bubble, and you just like go crazy and you like, I can't believe what I just heard. And you might even name drop them, like so-and-so say to me, da-da-da. And that's like crazy. And I have a hard time seeing that in the past. I think that's something that we could recover from the past, is just the ability to dialogue, sit down with someone.
Thick skin.
And
we need thick skin again.
And have thick skin.
We need to stop being such children about it.
Be okay getting your feelings hurt or being disagreed with.
Amen. And stop being chronically online.
And I don't do this very well sometimes.
If your views are purely defined by online influencers of some sort, like don't listen just to us. You should go live, experience
As if they
things.
are.
Yeah, I know, like they would ever be. But my point is like you should be living in the world, physically experiencing things. And the online world is leading our generation astray in so many things. It's leading so many people. It's leading everybody astray. Yeah. There are boomers out there who think that AI videos on Facebook are real. And they're like, I can't believe that there is Cthulhu being summoned in Kansas. And it's like, Grandma, like,
is that what your grandma said?
No, I'm just saying. But like this kind of stuff
sounded
that's happening.
Like a personal story.
Where it's like we need to be careful about it.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. So no more emotional terrorism. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't let people bully you into being somebody different from who you are.
Yeah, and don't be emotionally terrorizing others.
Amen.
Okay, great. Enough about that. Let's talk about girl problems. Wait, that wasn't the jingle. Girl problems.
That's it.
Whatever.
That's
something like that.
That's supposed to be it. But we might not have a jingle because it might just be too annoying.
Some didn't like the jingle.
Yeah, some people have told us the jingle is not actually really good, so we'll see.
But we like it.
Well, the substance of this segment is basically anything dating related. So if you have dating problems and you want our advice on it, two bachelors who are Harvard Law
submit your marriage questions too. We can take those on.
We'll do marriage advice too.
Yeah. Send it in.
Yeah, anything
please.
you want to send. There's voice memos. Look
There's
at the link
wisdom
in the description.
in singleness.
Yes, so you can send Gmail stuff too to our approach the bench with 2 H's at gmail.com. It's up to you.
You know what? Paul was single, and we take his advice on marriage all the time.
This is true.
So send him in. I want to hear your marriage problems, and I will give you the definitive answer.
Yeah, I'm sure we are speaking with the same authority as Saint Paul the Apostle. Okay,
not quite as much, but like one tier below.
Oh my
pretty
goodness.
Close. Yeah.
Oh, God help us. If that's the case,
a couple questions that we
have some good ones.
Mason proposed, or did we get any?
We
got
solicit
one.
these from some of our friends who are oftentimes girls because they have really good ideas about these things.
And you're just friends with a lot of girls.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. My mother always encouraged that, actually. She always said, Mason, you need to have a lot of friends who are girls.
I found in high school that I was friends with more girls than guys. It was not as
so interesting.
Yeah, and maybe I think we are similar in that sense.
Well, I don't know if it was high school for me. I mean, my first year of college, I definitely had more girls who were friends.
Sometimes girls are more fun to be friends with, especially if you're like you. You know?
7th grade, I remember, I just felt like all the other guys were so immature, and the girls
in 7th grade.
Yeah, the girls were so much more mature than the guys. I think it was
a puberty thing. You wanted to have these deep philosophical conversations.
I would stand up in my pre-AP biology class and debate evolution with my teachers and stuff.
Pre-AP bio?
Well, no, that was 9th grade. But the 7th grade, I was still debating creationism, and I still was like a young Earth creationist.
I was too. Yeah, in AP bio.
Yeah,
for sure.
You gotta. I mean, at the minimum, it was a good testing ground. You know, you stood up for what you believed in.
Well, I would always just be like, well, you know, evolution is just a theory too. Like, come on.
That's what I do. I'd cite Ken Ham.
Yeah. Yes, Ken Ham, bro.
Okay, sorry. We're getting so sidetracked from girl problems. Today, we're talking about the hypothetical from The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is a movie, I believe it's a movie I've never seen.
It's a TV show.
Okay, TV show.
Yeah.
I'm showing you.
Based on a book. Based on a book.
All I know is there's a hypothetical here of, let's say you really love someone, they get engaged, okay, and they're going to be married. When is like the last time that you could kind of go out of your way and tell them, I love you, I want you to be with me? Just get hit in the face.
Get assaulted by a leaf. Oh dear.
But when is the last possible time that you could do that and be okay?
Yeah.
What is the, like at some point, you know, like is wedding day just like too much?
So I think this is going to be controversial, but I think it's different from a guy and a girl. Oh. So I'm just going to talk for the guy, you can talk from the girl.
Okay. Yeah.
As a guy, I think you need to have respect for the other man and recognize like the wedding day is way too late. And you need to like have that, it's almost like a question of manhood. Like, are you big enough to let this girl go? I think that's like, for me, that's where I came on this question. I was just thinking like, I don't want to, it feels weak, honestly, which is kind of maybe a hot take.
It feels weak if you wait that long. If you wait that long, it is weak. I agree with this.
So my cutoff would be like engagement, that's okay. Maybe up to like 6 months before the wedding or something like that, where they haven't put all this time planning this wedding and she hasn't put all this effort into, you know, creating this special day with this one guy.
Sit down with them and be like, okay. But if it's like the Pam engagement in The Office, where it's just like an eternal engagement, I think you can just
hop in at any time.
Yeah, if it's eternal.
There's a saying about this, and I forget it, but basically it's like if there's not a wedding ring on her finger, she's fair game. even if there's an engagement ring, and I believe in that. I'll swoop in. Y'all watch out.
But
if you get engaged to a girl
on the wedding day, you should probably.
Well, okay.
You're saying that
Fair
there's
enough.
a manhood thing where you should stand up and speak your mind at some point,
but not too late.
Why do you think?
Out of respect for the guy, honestly.
But why do you think is this connected to why you think it's different for other women? Do you think that like a girl could come on your wedding day and literally come up to you and be like, "Wait, like we were meant to be"?
Again, a little controversial. I just think the like respect and like manhood aspect plays a greater role in my imagination of this scenario than
because we're men, so we're going to
Yeah.
be thinking about from the male's perspective more so.
So send us a voice memo if you're a girl and you have thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Mason might.
I mean, here's my thing.
You can connect with the ladies.
I love the idea of the knight in shining armor vibe.
Bursting into the doors.
Well, yes, and like Shrek 2.
Yeah.
Come flying in real quick.
What is it?
I can't remember the line. I don't know exactly.
Object!
It's not I
There we go.
object.
It
No,
is,
no, no.
I think.
I thought she just said Fiona. I thought he just comes in and says Fiona. I can't remember what the end is.
He says I object.
Maybe something. It's not a wedding. They're just gonna kiss at the end of Shrek 2.
Right.
But I agree
And
with
honestly,
that.
I'm kind of a fan of Prince Charming in that. Like,
oh my god.
I'm also,
What?
I'm a big fan of like man Shrek and man Fiona, and I got
you like it because you look like him.
depressed.
That's the reason. That's
Wait, Prince Charming or man Shrek?
Prince Charming.
Okay, no, but I love man Shrek and I love woman Fiona, and I got really Shrek 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's fantastic, but
obviously
I do not like the way it ends, where Fiona goes back to being an ogre.
I talk about this all the time.
I want them to stay human, and I think that like Shrek is willing to sacrifice his ogreness for her, and that's beautiful.
Yes,
and I wish that's the way the movie ended.
I mean,
but,
I think I like that too
couldn't
because
do it.
they're just prettier. They're prettier.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the
Fiona
thing.
as an ogre, ick. Fiona as a woman, fine.
But
Like,
here's
great.
The imagery is supposed to be that like you're loving each other past what others may expect of you, right?
Yeah.
In some ways, like others have this societal expectation of what an ogre is and everything else like this, and it's realizing, and maybe this has to do with being
Fiona's
Christians in
dad's
marriage.
a toad.
Yeah, he's a toad at the end. Well, at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like let's try to take Christian imagery from this. Like others may look at you and be like, think of you, oh my goodness, I can't believe you ever would live like this. You're not living together before you get married? Oh my gosh, how are you supposed to ever be able to make these things work?
Yeah.
Like we should understand that society is going to have a different view on us. Maybe that's the imagery. I agree with you though in the sense of like, I think we have this aesthetic like kind of value about us where it's like, he's so handsome and she's so beautiful, just stay that way.
It would be a happily ever after, and the point of the movie is like happily ever after can exist
even
for
outside
ogres.
of it, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow, I should get that like tattooed or something.
Yeah. See,
happily ever after can exist for ogres like me. Sinners like me.
Sinners like all of us.
Yeah, ogres like me.
Apply this then. Let me say.
No, you apply it.
Well, okay. Let me apply it for the female side. I'm going to take the other side. So
try to do
the
that.
The masculine understanding, I get. I think we should like
me.
stand up. I'm not going to say that I'm definitively speaking in any way. I'm just going to try to throw something out there, and we would love your opinions, your takes. My natural thought is that like if I was a guy, so let's say if I was a guy and I was getting married, and on my wedding day, this girl who presumably I have history with,
I think
comes
they have
up to me
in the movie,
and is like,
or the film.
I've loved you this whole time. My only thought process is I may not blame the girl for having those feelings or for talking to me or for coming up in that moment. I don't think I'd have the same expectation of her from my perspective because I would also be like, I really have valued you. I appreciate you. I've always wanted you to love me in this way. But I'd also know I'd have the same feeling again the other way, which is, but I've already made this commitment to this girl, and I have fully believed up until this point that it was right, and we should stick around and make it keep going. Even if I do love you, I have to let you go because I've already made my decision.
I've made a decision.
So I'm not really even speaking from her. I'm just not judging her perspective.
Yeah, from like the bride's perspective in that scenario, I think if that girl comes up and says to your to-be husband like, I love you, leave her for me, and you don't, that's the start of a really good marriage, I bet. Potentially. Like from the bride's perspective, I think maybe if that husband figure then rejects this girl who's tried to interrupt your wedding and chooses you, that's a pretty like powerful thing.
Yeah, but here's my thing. If you're even batting an eye at that on your wedding day, I'd kind of get worried. Yeah,
see, that's the problem. This is why I put text into GPT. You can't think that way.
What?
No, you're not giving any grace to the man in that moment. Like if he bats an eye, I would be like, you need to understand that, but then the choice is what matters.
No, but I'm saying, okay, maybe I just have a romantic view of wedding days, but I'm just like, I would be thinking, I love this woman. I can't wait to be with her. And another girl walks up.
Aren't we supposed to be talking about the perspective of the woman in this
I guess,
scenario?
but I'm also saying I don't think I can put myself in her shoes. I just wouldn't judge her if she was saying this to me. Yeah. But I think the girls would be able to like kind of lay out what their thoughts are better than I could.
If my bride and my wife-to-be had a man come up on our wedding and say, I love you, leave him for me, and she had to think about it, I wouldn't be offended.
You wouldn't be offended?
No, I'd be like, okay. Like the choice to me.
This would be a guy you knew too.
The choice,
it's like a close friend of hers.
I think it's the brother potentially, or something like that.
You really should have watched
the summer
this
I turned 30. But I think, for me, the choice is what matters, and this is why I have a really controversial take that I'll talk to you after this episode, and we can see if we want to bring it up. But just in marriages in general, I think there needs to be a lot more grace about everything. And so I'm much more like commitment and the action is what matters, not the like emotional.
This goes back to even the substance form distinction I was talking about from the beginning. I agree with you that we often have expectations of people that are unrealistic to who they are, and at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to action, right? Like maybe like these temptations, these siren calls come out, and there's a moment of weakness, but you know that that's not who you are, right? Okay, fine, wonderful. I'm all for grace and that stuff. Yeah. What I'm defending is the romantic image. We're just talking about the knight in shining armor. I'm talking about the idea of like just loving someone so holistically that like when that comes up,
you don't even bat an eye.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, that doesn't
beautiful.
exist.
That's where I'm kind of like, that's why I kind of agree that you shouldn't be doing this on a wedding day for sure. Yeah. You shouldn't be presenting your feelings.
It's too complicated. No one is going to be able to not bat an eye at that.
Unless it's a very, very, very specific scenario. And even that very specific scenario, I'd say it's probably unwise to do it. I think that's pretty definitive what we just did here.
Definitely. Do you want to talk about kissing? Or
let's
should we
just save it for a future episode.
I promised some people we'd talk about kissing.
I want to talk about kissing.
I want to talk about kissing.
Let's talk about it. All right. Great. So listen, we were debating whether or not we'd throw in another 10 minutes on this, but we couldn't help ourselves.
We have to. You guys want it. We want it.
I don't know if everybody wants to hear this.
But we want it.
That's how long this is going to end up going. So this is the question.
Listen to us at 1.5 speed.
At what, how earliest is the earliest that you could possibly kiss a girl who you're in relationship to / interested in / flirting with? Yeah. So what's the earliest point?
And again, me and you have had this conversation a couple times already.
Because he's so wrong. He is so wrong.
Well, maybe I've amended my position a little bit after I've thought about it and prayed about it, smoked a cigar over it.
Okay, well, what's your new position?
Kiss whenever.
Okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Like, look.
That's what Jesus said, by the way. Jesus looked at, I'm sure they had people come up to him and said, just kiss whenever you want. You know?
I think Jesus would say that, man.
You really think he'd be like, don't, just lock lips, you know?
Yes, man.
Like, just, like,
dude, I am so free.
I don't know. You don't have to be a Tom Brady about kissing, man. This is crazy.
No.
He's like,
yeah, well, that's another conversation. Like, at what point
obviously
is too, old to kiss your kids on the lips?
That is it's an entirely separate point. I'm just saying that Tom Brady is questionable. I find that weird to be, because he's famously will ask his kids to kiss him on the lips. I find it very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm using that example because I'm saying there's just times where it just doesn't feel right, man.
I think there's times where it doesn't feel right, but I don't think that the duration that you've been together really has a bearing on it. I think it's about the feeling in your heart, your seriousness towards the girl, and you just don't think that can be established very early. But I'm saying, like, if you're on a first date and you feel really strongly like, man, I really like this girl, I think you're okay to kiss her.
You're
like,
sapping
kiss her goodnight.
All of the beauty out of a
I think
kiss.
No, there's so much like you were talking about chivalry.
Emotional, spiritual, physical connection. It is the embodiment.
I think the only spiritual connection is sex.
And I'm not saying that. It's obviously a higher form of it in the sense it's more intimate. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe it's just how you hold it out. But when I think of kissing, I think, again, I use this example, Montmartre, Paris, the sun setting,
really bothers
beautiful
me the way
sight.
You say that, by the way.
I don't know how to say it correctly, okay? But it's just like being in an incredible location, top of a volcano, the lava's coming in, you only have a few moments, wait.
This is happening in Paris, or
you kiss.
This is somewhere else?
I don't care, it can be anywhere. It's about like the visceral nature of the scene, the love, the romance. And you have to admit there's something different about that than just, I'm at a bar talking with a girl and I bring her outside and I smooch her. I mean, come on.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I wouldn't say like kiss a random girl you meet at the bar. Like that is fun and like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong about that. It just might not be like the best use of your lips, but I think there is something like chivalric about walking a girl home.
I guess.
And Don't correct my use of the word.
Sorry.
Jeez, you say Mont Mart.
I suppose I don't have a ground to stand on.
Jeez. You walk her home after an awesome first date, and it's like you've had this great conversation, and you say goodnight.
Sounds like a great opportunity to exercise self-control, which you're going to need a lot of in a good relationship.
Beauty in just
no,
a
you
kiss,
have to
a simple
understand
kiss.
the friction of waiting. This builds up fiery passion.
And that's dangerous.
No,
that's
okay,
very
it can be dangerous, but it can be controlled.
Remember what Paul said?
Okay.
If you can't control your passion,
He said,
get married.
Get married, exactly. Get married so you can take it out. So you should kiss her then, maybe.
No, you should maybe kiss her
I'm saying you
earlier.
should wait until your relationship is solid enough, because otherwise you suck all the joy and beauty from the world. Because then we end up with a world where we're all casual towards each other, where we devalue these physical connections. I think if we start thinking about them more rightly in terms of the actual transaction that's occurring, transaction, quote unquote, oh my goodness. Come on, you can't deny it.
No, I deny it.
Don't you want that?
I
You
like
want it?
kissing. I think kissing, we could kiss after a first date. You could kiss when you first meet her. Just your intentions behind it, and like knowing that you're not going to take it too far.
Well, we can disagree on this. My stance is I think that you should be at least firmly boyfriend, girlfriend, because then you've got at least that solid relationship. There's history, your friends, all of those other things are built up. We have different views.
Yeah, I think life is short. You could meet a girl, go on a first date, kiss her goodnight, and get hit by a car and die. So don't leave it to chance. Just kiss her. On that note, I think it's time to end.
I think it is. We've gone for a very long time. Listen, thank you for watching.
If you lasted this long.
If you lasted this long and made it all the way through, remember you can submit comments through Approach the Bench with 2 H's at the end at gmail.com, or through the link in the description where you can actually submit a voice memo to us and we'll talk about it. What are your thoughts on what we've brought up? What are your thoughts on the Battle of Concord, being here in this beautiful space, this momentous place in American history?
Yeah.
Will?
Cool. Mason,
Till
great
next
to be
week.
with you. Yep. Till
All
next
right.
week.
See you guys.